Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So, I wanted to just sort of reiterate how the tides are kind of turning in these comment sections, where once we used to see a lot of cheering and co-signing and campaigning and for the most ridiculous things, which they still do. So these changes are small and very incremental, but I'm starting to notice them. And this is one such example. I'm going to play these videos and then we'll be back to talk about it.
Just got back from top 5 worst dates of my life, and yeah, I should have seen it coming. First red flag, he asked me if I wanted to go to Olive Garden. Yeah, I quickly curved that and suggested a place that was an Olive Garden. We go to a food hall that I suggest, and I pick a different food stall than he picks, and he walks away when I stop to order my food. So basically, I have to pay for my own food. What are we, 12? Like, I mean, I didn't ask myself on this date, right? You asked me out. At this point, I'm like, there's no salvaging this at all. Like, you're not serious. You're not my type. We're probably talking for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. I'm like feeling bad about it. I'm like, okay, maybe give him a second chance. Again, it's slim picking. Just got back going on a second date with him at the end of this. Until he gets on the subject of like dating apps, and he opens up his Hinge app, and I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of great options on top picks. So I'm like, see, she's cute. I think that's like the end of the story. He's like, oh yeah, she is. Grabs his phone from my hands, looks at it, and he's like, what should I say to her? You're asking your date what you should say to another woman? I say this to say, if you think it's not it, it's not it. Like, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that people will show themselves to you, like, in small ways before they show themselves in, like, this. Again, it's slim pickings out here. Like, reconsidering.
Okay. So let's first just knock down this foolishness right here. Ma'am, see, these chicks are now getting on here after the whole cheesecake thing and seeing how the sisterhood, and the cheesecake thing was just like, what, 2 months ago? 2, 3 months ago, something like that. And all of the women were co-signing the whole cheesecake thing and talking about their standards. And they even came out after that with a whole list about what they weren't going to accept and places that you can't go on a first date. And, that whole foolishness, like the sisterhood just did that. Like they just did that maybe a month or 2 months or 2 or 3 months ago. It might not have even been that long. And so they're getting on here now to sort of drill it, right? And because they're looking for, if they say stuff like this, they're looking for the same viral moment. They're looking for the same attention. They are looking for the same type of rah-rah, sister, we support you and your delusions type responses from the sisterhood. So the first thing, just to break down the stuff that she said, if you don't want to go to Olive Garden, like, okay, I've never been to Olive Garden before personally, but not because I've refused to go. It's just that I've just never gone. By the time I sort of wanted to sort of be, because I don't really eat out like that anymore, but by that time I wasn't really eating carbs. So, the Olive Garden seemed like nothing but carbs, like bread and pasta, right? But like I said, it hasn't been for refusal to go or thinking I'm too good for Olive Garden, because I don't know that. And so she opts not to go to Olive Garden, only to go to a food court. Ma'am, that's a mall. You wanted to go from a sit down dinner where presumably he would pay and you guys get to know each other, and you decide to blow that up by declining Olive Garden, which seemed like a simple place, to go to a food court in a mall or in some shopping area. That's where food courts are. That's the only thing I've ever known of food, where a food court is, somewhere where there's a shopping area, particularly a mall or some type of inside plaza, indoor plaza, or what have you. So like, girl, and you went to a different food stall. So you went to Sabaros and he went over to Subway, and you thought he was gonna pay for your Sabaros piece of slice. Girl, bye. Ain't nobody paying for your Sabaros piece of slice. You need to go on ahead, whip out your little money, pay for that little Sabaro piece of slice, get you that little mostaccioli on the side or whatever, girl, and some pop, and call it a cheap afternoon. He didn't pay for it because that's not where he agreed to take you. You wanted to do your own thing. And even when you got to the food court, you chose a separate place um than him to eat at. So obviously, apparently, you're on your own. You're making your own decisions. You are making decisions over and above the decisions that he made, which is masculine and proving that you don't know how to simply sit back in your feminine energy and uh if the man is taking the lead, just accept that. Just accept his leadership. You don't know how to do that. So obviously you disqualify. What happened was you disqualified yourself, because then she goes on to say that she still stayed on the date, talking about a slim picking. So you're desperate. And in your desperation, you decided to keep talking to this guy. He must have been handsome, according to her. She might have been attracted to him, whatever. And realize after conversation that she's actually interested in this guy. Oh, surprise, surprise. The things that you find out when you just sit and try to get to know somebody instead of trying to have all these high standards, quote unquote, places where people can't take you. When the first date that's what it's supposed to be about. Sitting somewhere, getting to know that person, talking to that person. It's not about the money spent or the status of the place where you went. It's really not about that. And so you got disqualified, which is why he did what he did. You talked for an hour and a half, she said. She liked the guy. She's like, okay, well, go on a second date with the guy because now she likes him. But what she doesn't realize is she disqualified herself in the first place with the whole Olive Garden situation. See, she got disqualified at that moment, is what she doesn't understand. And they never know what they did to get the reaction that they got. So he talked to you or whatever. I mean, you might as well sit down. And so he's back on the dating app. This lets you know that you're disqualified because he jumped immediately, while in your face, jumped back onto the dating app, a whole savage. And then he solidified his savagery by showing you a picture of a woman that he wanted to reach out to on the app and ask you what he should say to her. First of all, since you know so much, and since since you're another dude, you might know how to step to a chick, because apparently he got it wrong trying to step to you like you were a lady. So you're not a lady. So now you feel a certain type of way because this man that tried to take you out on a date, you ended up taking yourself out on a date, paying for your part of the date, which I completely agree with in this circumstance. And you disqualified yourself, and then he let you know that to your face. There's no more talking to you because there's no use in talking to you. Tried to get to know you, and he did. He did get to know you. He got to know everything he needed to know, which is why he jumped back on the app and, what I'm saying, put you on Front Street with it, put you on blast with it, and was like, what should I say to her? So now you feel away. And so all of that foolishness, she thought she ate, as the young people say. She thought she ate. And she thought she was really going to get on here and have the sisterhood to support her and to cheer her on and tell her she was right and talk about how dusty he was. She said all the buzzwords. She, quote unquote, low quality restaurant, quote unquote, she had to pay. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. She said all of the sisterhood buzzwords, but then look at the comments. Oh, girl, please pass me the Parmesan cheese machine thingy. Now that was a woman. Another woman said, "If I refuse to tear down a fellow sister, but I'm sorry, I can't stand behind all of you. His plans didn't meet your standards and he wasn't for you. Fine, move on. Stop making these videos thinking everyone is gonna agree with you. Because as for me, we would have been eating pasta and having a cooler convo. I'm more focused on getting to know someone and the vibe. Some of y'all just stuck on the material and what you feel you're worth. I'm not measuring what a man feels I'm worth based off his restaurant suggestion. He might really F with Olive Garden." Right. Ma'am, first of all, your tongue white. Yeah, that's yeast. That's candida. Baby, I'm gonna eat whatever he feed me. These women don't even be having money to pay for their own meals. The audacity. These are women saying this. Her voice, whatever that is in her hair, in her nose, the facial expressions. If she don't get the F, you see what I'm saying? Then somebody comes in, the golden lady. So you're absolutely right. When you know it ain't it. And bro sounds like he knew right away you weren't it, but he decided to finish the day at the quote food hall. But you were definitely already friend zone, so you paid for your own food and became the homie. And the wingman, didn't I say that? Didn't I just say that? The wingman at that point, if you brought that attitude to the date, I can totally see his perspective. Sorry, ma'am, this ain't it. For your information, at Olive Garden, unlimited soup, salad, and breadsticks with some wine would have been a perfect afternoon lunch. Would have left me feeling light enough to beat his tail on every game at Dave and Buster's after, and we would have had a blast. You're missing out on some great experiences thinking you should get the red carpet off the rip. I ain't tripping on Olive Garden, but girl, a food hall? Ain't that like food court? That's worse than Olive Garden. And yes, y'all 12 at this point on a parent supervised kid date. He friend zoned you. First hint, made you pay for your own food. Second, he opened the app and showed you other girls. These are girls. These are women with these comments. Olive Garden, me please. Then breadsticks and the Alfredo, bussing. Okay, what's wrong with Olive Garden? I'm tired. Wrap these conversations up by noon. Do you understand? I think we are really seeing the tide slowly begin to shift and turn just little bit by little bit. These are women that, generally speaking, are part of the sisterhood, right? They trying to give her a little bit of grace, a little. But one lady just said, we tired. We tired, boss. Tired of y'all getting on here because y'all cap just as much as they say the men be capping. So y'all be on here capping too. The sisterhood is starting to recognize that the foolishness has reached a crescendo. What go up must come down. So it has already reached its zenith. So now it must be on the decline, right? Culture is going to switch and then environment is going to switch because this is a biological switch. I need y'all to understand this. This is a switch in how people are thinking and perceiving what is being said. Just a couple months ago, that would have been a different response. But the biological, the perception, everyone's perception is starting to change. That is a biological function. That's going to shift the culture. We're watching us, hopefully, go into the beginnings of a bioculturon. That's going to switch the culture. If the culture switches sufficiently enough, then the environment is going to start changing. Hopefully, this is for the better. Hopefully, I'm trying to be hopeful here. I'm not gonna put the cart before the horse and be overzealous about that, but I'm trying. All right. So jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you're not. Once again, I'm your host, the Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye bye, Crimsonites.